Do you have an old flame who you sometimes think about on Valentine's? Be honest. Perhaps, like me, you might have more than one. But you know, it would never work out. I mean, it didn't work out in the first place, did it? You could never reunite. You've changed, and goodness knows, they must have changed as well. Vancouver is like that for me. The coastal city in British Columbia, I mean. We broke up in 1991. But when I visit Vancouver, I still fall back in love a little bit. I look up at the beautiful circling mountains, many of which I've climbed. There's kind of a geographic connection, a magnetic sense of place that I don't feel anywhere else. And then I get that heartsick feeling, knowing that the affair is long over and it can never be rekindled. Because my love ran after riches and lost her soul. In the 80s, I had a small studio in the city. Several locations, really, over the years. Aside from my commercial work, I wandered the streets, usually by bicycle, and made an archive of photos that I now call 80s Vancouver. And one image kind of bridges the gulf between my commercial work and personal work. A photo of a sculpture, The Lovers 2, created by an artist named Gerhard Jukum. I first stumbled on The Lovers scouting locations for a mountain equipment co-op catalog. Impertinently, I'd slung a backpack on the male paramour, and it became the Klettersack ad in the winter 1983 edition of the catalog. But I realized in the darkroom that the sculpture needed a more serious tribute. Jukum was born of German parents on November 15th, 1932 in Hetzeldorf, I think it's called, Romania. He emigrated to Vancouver in October 1968, working as a veterinarian for the federal government at the same time studying philosophy, sociology, and art. His guerrilla sculptures soon appeared around the city. The Lovers 1 clandestinely erected at English Bay Beach in 1972. And that raised the ire of the Vancouver Park Board, which grew tired of hauling the artist's work to the dump. But undeterred, in 1973, Jukum created Lovers 2, again donating it to the public. The Park Board threatened to sue if he didn't stop messing up the city with his undraped figures. Later that year, however, the Vancouver City Hall Art Committee relented and gave the statue its present home on the west lawn of Vancouver City Hall. Tragically, 4 years later, Gerhard Jukum was killed in a fiery car crash on his way to a weekend getaway on Vancouver Island. He was just 44. Gerhard Jukum's dedication to his work, his persistence and belief in the importance of the creative life is a true inspiration, especially if you're feeling unloved, your work overlooked. Those who knew him described him as a free spirit, a man of boundless energies, a passionate artist. Through his work, he exemplified his constant endeavor to portray the human being as an emotionally structured being, a being capable of reaching the goals of life. Through agonies and ecstasies, trials and tribulations, the sculptor had so often encountered in his own life. An update on my recent announcement that I'd be sidelined for a while due to a minor medical procedure. That procedure, a day surgery, turned out to be a little more extensive and painful initially than I'd anticipated. But 2 weeks later, as my GP noted yesterday, I've healed pretty well. And the plastic surgeon must be credited with doing a very nice job of preserving my appearance as such, because she removed a fair-sized piece of my upper lip and a bit of my chin that's hidden in my fur. I touched on the fact in a recent video, and a year or two back, that my face has suffered being exposed to an excess of the ultraviolet spectrum at high altitude during my mountaineering days. Now, you'd think that my upper lip had plenty of protection in those days, but alas, that filter wasn't strong enough. We used to smear our faces in zinc oxide cream, but my protuberances, cheeks and nose especially, are now paying the price as well. I know from conversations with my friend down under, Matt Irwin, that in Australia, SPF 50 is the minimum recommended sunscreen there. So I hope you'll excuse the clickbait title. My intention is to warn anyone who isn't taking adequate precautions. Plenty of UV protection and big floppy hats are the way to go. You might know how I feel about the use of UV or protective filters on lenses. Human UV filters are much more important. And a couple of notes, Nikon notes. I missed during my absence. The Z50 camera got firmware 2.40. Nikon gave the Z400 4.5 some love with a similar firmware update to other primes before it a few weeks back. 1.10 adds options for focus ring rotation range in the camera custom settings menu in addition to non-linear. When a linear option is selected, rotating the focus ring the selected amount in manual focus mode will take the lens from the minimum focus distance to infinity, regardless of the speed with which the ring is rotated. And added support for switch focus control ring rolls feature in the camera custom settings menu. So as of January 2023, like those other lenses, the cameras that support these options are from C firmware version 2.0, the Z9, and from C firmware version 1.40, the Z7 II and Z6 II. Not my original Z6s or, I guess, the Z7s. The D850, that's a camera going on 6 years old, Nikon bestowed with firmware update 1.30, portrait impression balance to the photo and movie shooting menus, and it squished a couple of bugs. Talk about keeping your vows. The Z85 1.2S lens, of course, is now expected to be released in late March. How much do you love that? I expect to kindle a romance. In fact, I've sent along a marriage proposal. And I guess if you believe the rumors, we'll have to be satisfied in the short term because Nikon isn't expected to announce any other big ticket items at the 2023 CP Plus show in Japan, which runs February 23rd to 26th. So I guess we'll know soon enough. Did I miss anything else while I was indisposed? Let me know in the comments below, as well as anything else that you love or would love. Finally, I want to leave you with this inspirational quote from Gerhard Jukum. It's a reminder for anyone who pursues a life in the arts, what's truly important. Through my art, I try to convey the essential values of peace, love, and harmony, the essential values of the true artist. If I express myself in this way, then I do not have to be recognized as a great artist to realize my human potential. That is my goal as an artist. Happy Valentine's Day. I wish you and your loved ones all the best. So take care, cheers, and we'll see you later.